Welcome back to the Healthy Chicago podcast, where local health professionals and their guests discuss the latest public health issues affecting Chicagoans.
Welcome to another podcast of CDPH's podcast. My name is Miguel Lopez. I'm the Public Health Administrator for the PlayStreets program, and I have two special guests with me today. I have Cathi Ortiz, who is the manager for the Chicago Community Health Response Corp with the Calumet Area Industrial Commission. And then I also have Lisa Powell-Butler, who is the Community Health Response Supervisor with the Phalanx Family Services. And so welcome, and thank you so much for agreeing to come onto this podcast. Today's topic, what we're going to talk about specifically, is something that it's near and dear to both of us, or all of us here on the table, which is the PlayStreets program. And so let's jump right into it. You know, what is PlayStreets? What is PlayStreets to you? As far as to you, what do you think when you think of PlayStreets?
Well, thank you again for having us. For PlayStreets, for us, we are relatively new to PlayStreets because we just started organizing on the south side. But PlayStreets for us, and I'm sure Catalina will say the same thing, this has been an opportunity for us to be able to connect with our community members. And one of the things that Catalina and I talk about all the time is that our community members, they live in neighborhoods, and we hope that the goal of PlayStreet is to make these neighborhoods back into communities and to bring health equity to our community members.
Thank you. Yeah. For you, Cathi, what's PlayStreets?
Yeah, same for me. Echo everything that Lisa said. But it's been a fun challenge, and I'm up for that. This would be our second year, so I feel like we're experts in the field now. But you know, through our work, we're able to connect with our neighbors and community members, but PlayStreets allows us to spend a little bit more time with them and get the families out, get the kids out, engage with them in ways that you don't get to if you're, just canvassing and dropping off flyers or, having a resource table. Because now it's fun, right? The kids are out doing activities, and so it is just a different level of engagement. And I think those things are necessary so that they see us and those of us that work here and do different activities, and really allows us to connect with them.
And that's part of the reason why I was kind of really excited about doing this podcast and bringing both of you on, because when we looked at last year, you hit the ground running with your organization. Like, you took on PlayStreets and you literally made it into your own thing, which ideally when we talk about PlayStreets, that's what we want to do. We want to give each organization, through this collaborative effort, the opportunity to to mold the program to what's best for your community, right? And so having Lisa and her team at the helms, and then you doing the events, ideally, I couldn't think of a better way or a better approach to do PlayStreets. When I came on board with PlayStreets, which is about 7 years ago, it was like this. It's a childhood obesity prevention program geared towards keeping the kids active during the summer months when they're out of school, and try to basically get them to unplug from playing video games and just being indoors, right? And without having to date myself, right? But when I grew up, I spent most of my summers out in the street, right, playing. Right, just, being out there playing softball, kick the can, stuff like that. And, we would definitely, one of the highlights for the summer would be to do a block party, right? And have the DJ, dancing, break dancing. That's what I was really big into. But that was the highlight. And as years have gone by, technology has taken the lead, and children have become a little bit more removed from physical activity and outdoor activity. And also where we're at with, what goes on in the streets, as a parent myself, I feel like sometimes I kind of have to shelter them, right, and keep them indoors. Right. And so it's kind of like a safe way of going about it. But at the same time, we're also seeing the increase of obesity happening, and also a disconnect with, like, just what's going on with nature and just embracing their community. And we see that with neighbors not being able to connect with each other, right? To kind of isolate themselves.
Most definitely.
So when this program came across, or it came, fell in my lap, I was like, for me, it was kind of like a very common sense kind of thing to do. But I wanted to explore the possibility of expanding it to a sense where it's just not focusing. It is focusing on children and get them out and about and being physically active, but also how we could also approach the families, right, and provide resources to the families. And working for the city and working for a nonprofit organization, always looking for that opportunity to bring resources and make it available for them and their families and the neighbors. And so that's where collectively coming together, coming up with this idea of like, how can we make that happen and combine efforts? And again, with the community partners being involved, tailoring it to your community is probably the best way of going about it. And so that's one thing I want to also talk about as far as what, from your perspective, what does PlayStreet have to offer for the entire family and for the community? I know I said a whole lot, but like for you, what does that mean? Like focusing on children, but for the entire family.
Well, I'm glad that you asked about that, because that was my call to you. Last season when PlayStreets ended, I wanted to start early. So we started, really early, and we started talking about how we can incorporate other information, activities, events, which was more than just, the games, the hopscotch and stuff. And that was one of the things that I loved about Cathy's organization last summer. She just kept it so simple. And I would go to her events, and the kids would just really love the simplicity of everything that was going on. And they loved it, have those bouncy houses and stuff. But like we talked about, our goal moving forward with PlayStreets beyond the childhood obesity, making sure that we have our youth out and being active and teaching them how to go outside and have a good time like we did as children. We want to be able to connect with the mothers, the fathers, the grandmothers, the aunts and the uncles, who's ever in those homes. And we want to talk to them about all the resources that are offered throughout our city that we can potentially help them with, but also provide them with any information. We're going to be talking about tobacco cessation. We're going to be talking about the importance of making sure that you have primary care physicians and getting those basic physicals. We have so much stuff, I can't even think of everything. I know we have divvy bikes on board this year. We have coloring books, so teaching the kids, get out here and do some coloring, hopscotch with just chalk. So, but again, we have a lot of activities, not only for the youth, but for the adults as well.
I think the same. I like that Lisa says that we kept it simple, because part of it was trying to keep it easy for us as well, right? Last year was our first year, and I like a good challenge, and I pulled on my team. I'm like, let's work, let's brainstorm, and let's see what we can do. And things that were simple, like hopscotch, right? And we brought the chalk out, and we let the kids just go out there and draw whatever they can on the floor. Hula hoops. We had a pop-a-shot, volleyball. Just basic standard like equipment and supplies that engaged them. And our kids were all over the place. The bounce houses, but we also incorporated other organizations into what we wanted to offer. Like, we knew it was child-centered, but everybody has a family that they belong to, right? So if we could get the information even in the hands of the kids, they take that home to their parents, right? Or the parents who are coming out with them, depending on their age, and then we can have those conversations with their parents and whatever family member that was accompanying them that day. But we did pull on, divvy bikes, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, let's get these kids and their families like the code, right, or whatever it is. Yeah, because I have one, right? And I probably ride the bike once a year, but let's get our kids on bikes through the connection that they build with us, right? And so they're not going to get that all the time, especially if they're not at a place where these services are being offered, these resources. And so they're coming back this year, I think, the different organizations. So it was a good connection for us. And, we have somebody who does plants. Like, she puts the little plants, the seeds in the cup, and the kids come and they take them home and they get to grow that stuff. So, little things like that really engage the entire family.
Definitely.
And so it's just being creative with it. And tapping into that creative juice, right, with your team, so that, my family members have kids. I'm like, what do you do with your kids? How you keep them busy, right? And so, that kind of helps with the planning and for this year as well.
And in the middle of all of these great activities that we have for the youth, we are community-based organizations. we've been tasked with reaching out to these communities and providing resources to them. So it gives us a great opportunity to talk about all of the resources that not only like for me for Phalanx, but Calumet. We talk about all of the other organizations that are potentially in the area about these are services that are being offered there. Tell us what you need. How can we help you? And we make sure that we guide those community members to those resources and help them out.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, Cathi, but
fine.
I just wanted to mention, and I just wanted to lift up the fact that it's really important to mention that both of you are community health worker response workers, right? And how that really complements the program because it kind of aligns with what we're trying to do as far as the equity work we're trying to do through PlayStreets, right? Yes, we're addressing some of the, some of those tough issues, but also just bringing an array of different subjects, matters to their attention. So, just better improve their life and try to close that disparity in, life expectancy. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that because it's really, it complements each other really well.
And I think one of, in the role that we both serve the community in, we have access to a lot more information. So, summer EBT for families, as the kids get out of school and they're going to eat you out of house and home, like, let's figure out how to get that information to our families so that they can continue to take care of their kids. Maybe they might need a little bit more money for, the summer for the kids, but at least that information will be on our tables. We'll be passing it out. And then that way those families can get on it and they don't, they can take advantage of the opportunity. And, that's what any of the information that we have that allows the family to just kind of make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something that we're always looking to do as far as sustainability for this program. And how, as far as like our partnerships go, like how does that help with our sustainability for our program? Does it lend opportunity for that to happen?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's funny because it seems like, people are coming to us. We get phone calls and texts and emails all day long about, hey, how can I partner up with PlayStreets? Because people want to get that information out to the community and let them know this is what we have to offer. How can we help you? And they play a really, really strong part because it helps us build on the event that we have. So like I said, it's not just those kids outside playing and having a good time, because with the good time, the parents get that opportunity to get connected to really important resources. And again, it's through some of everybody. I know like this year, we have, I think it's CTI, but it's a division of the Chicago Police Department. We've actually have them coming out so that they can talk to community members about, mental health issues, which are really important in our communities. We've got COPA coming out. We've got the library coming out, which I'm really big on because I'm so big on reading. Get a book and learn how to read. Who else do you think of we got coming, Cathi?
The Pullman National, I'm going to get the name wrong, like the historical.
Yep, Pullman National Museum, which is one of our partners from last year, which is so great over at the Pullman Porter Museum.
Is that with David?
Yep, with David Peterson. So we're still doing work with him. He's not doing our PlayStreets because he's got a whole bunch of other important stuff to do. But it's so much more this year that we're so happy to have on board. Even block clubs. I have block clubs reaching out and saying, hey, can you bring PlayStreets to my block? And, just coordinating and connecting them with whatever community-based organization is in that neighborhood. And they're reaching out and they're making it happen. And it's those partnerships because there's a whole process to blocking off a street, right? Mm-hmm. So those community members on that block, we have the buy-in from them already. Come on, and we're willing to move our cars and block off, and we're gonna bring our grills and things out too. Right. Yeah. And but the ultimate thing is that they really want to get the information that we have. As for instance, at Phalanx, we do a lot of job development initially, but I know, and Catalina can speak to this, the work that we've done as community health workers. We've got to focus now on our organizations about, hey, you guys can do community health work. So we have partners like you at CDPH coming to us and helping funnel out some of this information into our communities now. Yeah,
definitely. Those partnerships definitely go a long way. And just giving the opportunity for other other programs to kind of tap into our audience because they obviously want to share resources. But not only that, but also the local businesses that want to, offer some type of donation, especially since we put an emphasis on healthy eating.
Right.
Healthy eating is expensive, right?
It is.
So, those days of just being able to, grill up some hot dogs is not, it'll do, right? But trying to go for a healthier option, and it does come at an expense. And I know there's limitations with the funding that we get with PlayStreets, so there's only so much you could do to stretch out a dollar. So those partnerships and those collaborations and that support from our local businesses, from local food markets, dollar stores, they want to donate toys or, things that we could give out. It's always encouraged. And, we try to encourage our CBOs to build those bridges and those relationships because it will pay forward. But also one thing, I'm glad you mentioned this, Lisa, about some of our CBOs who may not necessarily be doing PlayStreets now, but in the past have done it, and how they're willing to continue doing some collaborative work with PlayStreets, right? So it's just kind of like a testament to the work that we do, because even though they're not doing PlayStreets now, they're still willing to help out either by sharing their equipment, supporting by being there as a resource table, or having lifting up PlayStreets as a program itself, right? So it's just like I said, it's a testament to the work that gets done with PlayStreets and how it's a continuation. And just because they might not be ready today, next year or the following year, or maybe they might do their own version of PlayStreets, which I'm all for, because however you could apply to your organization and to your community for sustainability and long-lasting effect, that's what we're trying to do. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that was something that in a lot of programs, sometimes when those relationships end, it's kind of like they just kind of go their own separate ways, and it just ends at that. But I've just seen so many organizations from our history and our past, they some way, some shape, form, they still continue their relationship with the program.
I just want to add, I think the importance of what she touched on in terms of some of the organizations that we had come out last year who reached out to us this year, and some of that has to do with the fact that I had my staff hey, I just need you to send a friendly email, every couple weeks, check in, say hi, what's going on. And so then when we reached out to them, and in some cases they were like, hey, are you doing this again? Right. And so that is the power of that relationship building that makes this work possible. And so that it's easier. Last year, Lisa was like, all right, here we go. And I'm like, wait, when is it? Tomorrow? Right. And it wasn't that soon, but it was quick. And so, we were just busy trying to get everybody in there. And I felt like my staff did a really good job pulling that off. And I just have to acknowledge Lisa. Lisa came out, and Yvonne came out one time and was just really excited with everything that we were doing. I was like, okay, good. This is good. But those relationships are what's important in order to continue to work. So... and we're glad to have the partnership with CDPH and PlayStreets, so that, it gives us a little bit of, fun to do on a hot summer day.
True. Yeah, definitely
so,
true. Yeah, that's one thing that we try to be mindful of the weather and try to, work around it. But, sometimes, there's no other way of around it, just to go through it, right? Just trying to figure out how to keep people cool and still kind of enjoying themselves during the summer months, because it's so, the summer goes by in such a quick, it goes by so quick, and it's summer's over in school, school's back in session, and it's all right, winter's right around the corner, so, try to enjoy it as much as possible.
Yep. And I want to say this, we have 30 CBOs across the city. Every one of these CBOs, they do this only because they know how much it matters. That is the only reason why they're doing it. No other reason, I can assure you. They know how important this initiative is. It matters. And so they gear up and they get ready for it for the summer. And it's a lot of work that they have to do, but they do it. And I can do nothing but commend and applaud each and every last one of the organizations for the work that they do.
That's very true. And I'm glad you mentioned that. When we're talking about PlayStreets is actually divided into two regions, the South and the West region. Lisa is actually responsible for the South region. And so the way it's divided, it's kind of near South and far South and a bit of Central. And then we have the West region, who's actually run by Kenyatta Stewart with the Build organization, so out west. But we hope to have Kenyatta and someone from the West region come out and be able to come do a podcast episode also, so be looking forward to that. But what I want to talk about now is actually talk about the kickoff. Mm-hmm. So the kickoff is going to actually happen on June 6th, which is actually this upcoming Thursday, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot of build-up, a lot of work behind the scenes to kind of get ready for the launch. June 6th actually aligns when CPS actually ends, right? So at the end of the school year. So a lot of our organizations have partnered up with CPS schools, have it be high schools or elementaries. And so they're either going to have their event happening adjacent to the school or around the school. And so a lot of the kids are going to be coming out and enjoying PlayStreets during recess. And or the events are going to actually happen when school lets out midday or whatever the time may be, and they'll be able to participate in PlayStreets. And obviously the entire family is welcome to come, but also the neighbors to come out. And so, let's talk about the kickoff. Like, how's it been for both of y'all? Like in the planning and just kind of like anticipation for this coming up.
My CBOs, if they're listening, I don't know, they say if Lisa Butler sends me one more email or meeting request, but I just really want to make sure that they have all the information and all the support that I can provide to them. And it's been really good this year because, again, you kind of came in with that and was like, yeah, Lisa, let's really start planning, organizing, getting things going. So they were able to start organizing, choosing their locations, their neighborhoods, partnering up with, their partners in those neighborhoods to get those dates so that we know exactly when these events are taking place. For the 6th, I will be somewhat of everywhere. Miguel and I, we both know we will be everywhere, going out to each one of those communities, talking to those community members, talking to those CBOs. But most importantly, I'm looking forward to the interaction with the families, but the youth. I love it. I love to go outside, turn that rope with those kids, maybe show them exactly how to play hopscotch or something like that. So it's something that I am really looking forward to this summer. And so far, so good. Everything is going great, but we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Right. What about for you, Cathi?
Lisa and her staff have been on it and taking care of business. I got an email from Tiffany last night, like at 11:15. That I didn't see until this morning, but I'm, getting her the information she needed. But planning has been a little easier this year since we know what we're doing and what we're looking for and how much, the money didn't change. But I'm going to make a dollar stretch as much as I can. And so my staff is running around today getting last minute stuff together. And then when we meet tomorrow, we'll review again and then pick up any of the last things that we need for Thursday. But we feel good about Thursday. The weather is looking good,
yes.
Which is always great because having to schedule an alternate rain day during the summer just it's hit or miss with the weather. That's Chicago, right?
Right, it's a lot of broken hearts.
And then you don't get all your organizations back out, so it's kind of that. But so last year we had a good run. I don't think we had any rain dates last year. Nope. We had some really hot days, but we're planning for that. We're excited to rock our new PlayStreets shirts this year, so I'll probably cut mine up a little bit,
Gotta personalize
it. So it's fun, like even decorating the tables that we're gonna take out. Like I want it to look festive and welcoming, and have people come over and see what's happening at your table. And so a lot of planning goes into the details because that's important, right? Like how do you manage this? If so many kids are coming out, and that's one of the things we learned from last year. So is management at the tables, but we're pros. I think we got it.
One of the things that I do ask, and I'm like, why do you want all of our secrets, Lisa, from each other? But I do ask my CBOs. I have like a little cheat sheet. Put your best practices on there. Share them, please, please, please do. And one of the things I talked about, like last year, I had people that wanted to get face painters. They coming out and they doing all this stuff. Her team, they went on Amazon. They bought these little stencils with glitter. And I came to the event. Hey, lady, look what I got. Look what I got. Look what I got. Right. Those kids loved it. That's what I mean about they kept it simple. So, share those best practices with us so, we can all flourish and do a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to pay a face painter, and my staff was like, "This was a lot of work. All these kids at the table, but I got to make that dollar work, right?"
True.
So
True.
that's the easiest thing to do. But that might be a good argument for like increasing funds.
Most definitely. Believe me, actually, yeah, believe me, I try to make that effort.
Right.
Actually, that's without going into too much, but that's why there's such a very intentional effort this year to really highlight. PlayStreets is it's funded for 3 years, and then we have to put the RFP all over again and have agencies apply for that lead role. And so, but that's why we're always looking for partnerships with other city programs to get them to put in stake into the PlayStreet program in dollar amount, right? Because the amount of money that goes into actually putting in a PlayStreet event isn't a lot. It's not sustainable, right? It doesn't go a long way. And so one of the most common questions or comments that we get from participants and family members and organizations is like, what about what's next? Like, all right, PlayStreet's over. What about the rest of the year?
Right.
Like, what else are we doing, right? And this is the part of the opportunity and partnerships where we have with the library and the park district to kind of promote their activities and their programming. But if there's a way or an opportunity to expand on PlayStreets, ideally that's what we want to do, right? And so expand on PlayStreets. I wish we could be in every community, but the reality is the money that we have isn't enough. But we're trying. That's the effort. That's the ultimate goal, is just trying to expand and get more dollars. And whatever that may mean as far as for the future, that's what we're going to try to do. But I'm glad you mentioned it, because it's a very common thing that comes up that we're always asking, like, how can we make this bigger, better, and more worthwhile, right? Because, some agencies don't take it on because it isn't a lot of money. And so they have to keep their doors open.
Well, and I think when we bring in the other organizations, just the free giveaways on the table, people are happy. Oh, yeah. They might have 22 million, stress balls at home, but they'll pick up another one, pens. People like goodies, right? And so, I think that's a way to kind of supplement the limitation on the money that we have is that the other organizations come in and they offer that, the goodies, the swag.
Yeah, we like to have the swag.
So, that it's always fun. People want the stuff, they take it. So.
That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have a garage full of stuff that I'm just like, why do I have all this stuff? So my last question I wanted to ask, what is a memorable moment for you at PlayStreets? I know both of you are new to the PlayStreet program, but I know for you it might be a little bit more fresher in the mind as far as like what is a memorable moment for with PlayStreets.
So last year we put in a request to have, I forgot who it went to, but the community outreach leg of the Chicago Fire Department, the Chicago Police Department. We put in a request. We didn't hear anything. And then they've just popped up one day at one of our events. And I was like, this is exciting. Because we were wondering where they were going because nobody had contacted us. I'm like, oh my God, is there a fire on the block?
Right.
That we're actually have all our stuff set up? Yeah. So they pulled up and the families that had little kids, the kids were able to get up, sit in a front seat with the firefighter. And that was exciting. Cool. And we had, I have a staff member on my team who does a lot of our social media. So she went live, and because people in the neighborhood saw that the fire truck was out there and that the kids were able to get on and make the loud engine noise, the sirens and all that, families came over with their kids. And so it was another way to increase the reach. And so social media is also a good tool, like while you're in the middle of an event, like just, letting people know what's happening. Out. Yeah.
Going live.
So that was the most fun for me. Yeah.
Kickoff day. Kickoff day for me was a blast. I really enjoyed going from community, from each spot, and seeing the interaction with the youth, playing and having that great time out there. The family members who came out, and we had a chance to talk to them. And I believe it was your event. I know it was an event over East, but this PlayStreet event took place, and it was on one block, but it was situated in like a multicultural like community, and everybody came out. We had Latinx, we had African Americans. It was another group of people out there as well. And I remember my team coming back and saying, it was just like, like an international party out here at this PlayStreets. I think it was your event that summer, but it was like an international party that we had all of these different people that came out to this one event, and they just happened to live in this close proximity to each other. And so that was really great to get people to come out like that. But definitely June the 6th, everybody be looking to see me out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank Cathi and I want to thank Lisa for joining us today at our podcast. And we're definitely looking forward to doing this podcast again with our other partner for the West region. If you want more information about PlayStreets, please visit playstreets.org, or you can also follow us on the hashtag PlayStreetsShy24, and you'll be able to see all the wonderful things that are happening across the city with the PlayStreet program. So again, thank you both.
Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
Everyone have a great day.
Yep.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you find podcasts. I'm Dr. Bora, and we'll see you next time.